first, a couple of words about Internews. We're an international nonprofit organization dedicated to empowering local media worldwide. And when I say local media, I mean the broadest range of media, from traditional radio, television, and print, online, mobile, citizen, professional, the full range of media. Over our history, we've worked in about 70 countries around the world with this local media. Our programs are as diverse as the countries that we work, ranging from Chad to China, but they're all rooted in a simple belief that if people have access to quality, locally produced, locally relevant news and information, it improves their lives and enriches their communities. And if it's good for the community, we at Internews also believe it's particularly good for the most vulnerable in those communities. And in the countries in which we work, those tend to be the women and children. I want to begin my presentation with just three short stories. The first one, I want to take you to Eriba, Chad, on the border with Darfur, where there's refugee camps of people who fled Darfur. And there we worked with a local reporting team that has a lot of specialized radio programs that address women and issues of importance to women and children in the camps. They did a series of radio programs on the medical complications that can arise from childbirth and pregnancy. And Médecins Sans Frontières said immediately after those programs aired that they saw a dramatic uptick in the number of women coming to the clinics at the camps. This resulted in healthier mothers and healthier babies. Similarly, when this radio production team did a series of programs on educational opportunities for children, UNICEF saw a 10% uptick in children going to school at the camps. That is extraordinary results and improvement in the lives of the people in these really devastating places. My next story takes us to Kabul, Afghanistan. During the provincial council elections in May of 2009. A report came out on May 1st of 2009 that not a single woman candidate had signed up to run for one of the provincial councils in 8 of the provinces in Afghanistan. Another radio production team was really concerned with this report and decided to do a few stories on it. They did a feature story and a number of interviews on this. By May 9th, 8 days later, a total of 342 women had registered for 124 seats in these provincial elections. Again, a significant impact in a really important place. My third story, I actually had a different third story, and then I remembered where we were doing this presentation today. And if you look upstairs, I hope you noticed during the breakfast and during lunch, there's a photo camp exhibit of students in Ukraine, in Crimea, in Ukraine. That's a project of Internews, which we're very proud of, and we did in conjunction with National Geographic, and Paley Center is helping publicize it. And what's really important about that, you'll see one of the pictures, the one that I have my eye on to go into my office upon return when this exhibit is over, was of a girl who said, we weren't just given the opportunity to take photos, we were given the opportunity to see the world completely differently. And I like to think they were given the opportunity to really get a voice, a public voice out there. And those are the roots of why we think this work is so important. I could go on and on with stories like this, but the bottom line is healthy societies need a media that care about and cover issues of importance to women and children. And women need to engage with the media. Unfortunately, we have a long way to go before we really realize this potential. I want to talk about a project called the Global Media Monitoring Project. It's associated with UNIFEM, and every 5 years they systematically analyze how the media around the world covers women and women's issues. And in 2010, they reported only 13% of all stories about politics, the economy, government, focus on women. Only 24% of people you hear about on broadcast media or read about on online media or print are women. Over 80% of the experts interviewed are men, whereas the vast majority of women are considered the ordinary people perspective. We have a long way to go to change this situation. There's a lot of work to be done. And we just really believe that engaging women in media is so important for the development, for international development as well as for their communities. And for 3 big reasons why we think this is important. When women engage with media, the result is better news and better information for the entire community. Women report on issues that are unreported by men. Women also are much more likely, and studies have shown that there's a visible difference in the way women cover stereotypes from men. Men will reinforce stereotypes and women will challenge stereotypes. That is better news coverage. That is important. Media also create a safe space for dialogue, and this came up several times in this panel. In many of the countries that we work in are very conservative. It's very difficult for women to get their voice out there. But through media, through radio, through mobile, through online, women are able to express their opinions in ways that they can't simply anywhere else in their lives. It's such an empowering place for women to participate in their communities. And particularly with the new tools emerging, this is just growing and growing. The third reason we think this is really important is that media have a unique ability to address the root causes of discrimination, including violence against women. The media is where culture is defined. It's where people talk about and make people feel comfortable with what's going on in their societies and in their culture. And if you can introduce some of these very, very sensitive topics and some of the root causes of discrimination into the media conversation, you are introducing it to that culture, and you can help reduce stigma and discrimination. And we've seen it in places like Sudan, in Chad, in Pakistan, in Afghanistan, where issues like child trafficking, female genital mutilation, and human trafficking can be addressed in a public space, and that is important as well. The good news is that in order to really build on this and grow from this really important contribution that women can make to the media is actually relatively easy. Quite simply, you just need more women engaged with media. You can provide training, you can provide material support, you can do advocacy just to get more women engaged in both the profession and in citizen journalism. And again, the opportunities are just growing exponentially with participatory media, with online media, with the rise of citizen media. It's growing and it's really making a difference. Another really important tactic that we use is encouraging women's organizations to explore and engage with media directly. Media is most powerful when it's local, contextualized, and anchored in the community. Civil society organizations, women's groups actually provide that anchor. They can get their message out, and they can root the stories in the community itself. And finally, you can support as much as possible gender-sensitive productions and programmings on multiple platforms, bringing in multiple technologies, radio production houses, multimedia centers, simple cell phones with the ability to take photos and edit sound. All of these tools help bring media to women and help them contribute to their societies. I just want to conclude with one more real-world example of this type of work that actually has been going on in the last month in Aceh, Indonesia, another very conservative community. In Aceh, there are about 30 nonprofit organizations working with on gender issues and women's issues. And recently, we had a team working with 12 human rights organizations, basically just teaching them how to make mini documentaries using flip cameras and then putting it up on YouTube and getting it on the air. And this helped these women for the first time get their message without being blocked by their normal traditional gatekeepers, whether it's their family, whether it's the government, whether it's editors, whether it's just the economics of trying to engage with media. They were able to get their message out, they were able to share information with their peers, they were able to broadcast their issues to a much broader community. And it's that type of empowerment, it's the energy that you see when unique new perspectives come into the open, come into the public dialogue. That's what excites me. That's why I get up in the morning and come to work every day, because it's incredible how this changes a community and changes the culture in the media and changes the lives of the women who we're working with. So I just want to leave you with that, an incredibly powerful tool. Engage women in media, and it's just important. Thank you very much.
Thank you.